Good evening, everybody. You're all very welcome to the May the 4th Sci-Fi Film Festival. Good afternoon, guys. We're back once again with our series of interviews with some of our filmmakers that have their work being screened at the film festival this week. Gary from Blabba the Hutt is joining us tonight. Hello, Gary. How are you?
Evening, Dave. How are you?
Fantastic. And our special guest tonight now is Jean Michel Tari from France, who's directed an incredible short film called Dark Cell. Jean Michel, you're very welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
From Paris.
Yeah, well, we're delighted to have you along, and I must say we really enjoyed the film. Gary and I were just chatting to each other before you joined us, and we were just sort of rattling off so many great things about this film. The production values are through the roof. The direction is very deft. The performances are superb. The sound design is incredible. The score is great. It's one of these films that ticks all the boxes. Jean Michel, maybe you could tell us just a little bit about this film. Maybe give us a brief synopsis on what it's all about.
The synopsis is all the action takes place in a orbital prison in a future, and there is two inmates that are doing what they are doing every day, which is nothing. And suddenly there is two guards that enter on their cell, and they lock the door, and they explain that the prison was attacked by some kind of zombie characters, and they have to eject the cell to go back on Earth. But unfortunately, the cell is made for two persons, and there are four inside. They will have to choose the two survivors. So this
fantastic. Why don't we show the trailer? Just give everybody a little taste of what the film looks like.
Raconte-moi une histoire, j'adore quand je mange.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux que je te raconte? Je sais même pas ce qui se passe moi-même.
Putain, mais qu'est-ce que vous foutez? C'est quoi cette merde?
Fantastic. As trailers go, that's a pretty cool trailer.
Thank you. It looks great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this movie.
I know. I can't. And I think it will look really well on the big screen when we screen it down in Port McGee. So when did you start working this film? It goes back a couple of years, or
4 years. 4 years ago, and I think a little more, like 4, but I prefer to think about 4 than 5. It's better for the moral. But no, 4 years ago, it was a long process. The writing first, because I really want to do something like you just say. I don't want to do this kind of sci-fi short where you can see that there is some good idea, but there is no production value. I really want to create something cool. So I start with the script. There was something like 30 different versions of the script. From the beginning, I knew that I want to do something in one small space, which is the case when in general you are doing a short movie because you don't have a big budget, so you are not able to do a lot of to create a lot of movie set and to go all around the earth. So I prefer to stick on one specific space. So from the beginning, I get this idea of this prison. I don't know why. Sometimes you have some idea, you wake up in the morning and you say, yeah, it could be cool to do this or this. So I start writing the script, and 30 version later, I start to create my movie set myself. So I start to do this 4 years ago. Because in fact in France you have some way to get some budget for your movie when you are doing some short movie, but you have to ask, and the science fiction genre is not really the kind of movie that they want to finance, so you have to find the money yourself. So I asked about the budget for the movie set, and it was really expensive. So I just bought 4 or 5 3D printer, and I start to do it myself. That's it. 4 years ago.
Fantastic. Just the script, Gary. I mean, you were pretty impressed. We were talking about it earlier on about the script. You particularly enjoyed it, Gary.
I did. There were a lot of twists and turns, and the one thing that I love about that type of film is the best place to hide something is always in plain sight. And I think for this one, from start to finish, it worked really well. And as you mentioned, you set it in a single environment, which doesn't happen too often. So when the space doesn't change, you need to ensure that there's enough dialogue and enough changes of direction to keep the audience entertained. So you mentioned that there were 30 revisions of the script. So what were the key considerations for reaching the end point that you finally did and reaching a point that you were happy with?
First of all, you are never happy. When you do a movie, when I look at my movie, I'm always pointing some problem. Oh my God, I should have done this differently, or I could have done this before. But anyway, you have to launch your movie. You have to stop it and to give it to the public at some point. But my goal for this movie, you have to see it to understand that. But it was really that I want that almost everything that you are seeing on this movie is kind of a trick. Is kind of when I do a short movie, and if I have the chance to do a feature movie, I like to play with the audience. I like to play with their feeling, with what they believe, but in fact, what they believe is not really what happens. And I really like when people after the screening are coming at me and say, "Hey, how you get me? Man, you just get me. I never saw this coming. It's oh my God!" And I'm really happy when I get this kind of result, because for me it's really entertaining. And when you are doing a short movie, you have 20 minutes or 25 minutes to entertain people and to make them happy and to get them surprised. Because if you don't do this on a short movie, when you will do that? Not on an advertising, not on a big budget film, because you are a director of a $100 million movie. You will not be as free as I was for this movie. I was the producer, I was the writer, I was the director. So pretty much I do what I want. And if someone tell me, but I don't care, it's my movie.
A passion project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but sci-fi is passion. If you are not passionate about sci-fi, you are not crazy enough to do a short movie. You do a short movie with 2 persons talking about love. I have the big chance to be in Paris. Take one guy, one girl. We put them on the top of the Eiffel Tower, and we have a beautiful landscape. And okay, you have a short movie, but this is not really the kind of things I want to do.
I've yet to meet a director or a producer that actually enjoys watching their final film. To be honest with you, you'll always sit back and you will always nitpick, and you'll nitpick till the end of time every time you watch that film. But what I normally do is when I go to the cinema, if I've been working on a production or indeed sitting with a director that has put an awful lot of work into a film, it's actually fantastic to sit at the back of the theater and watch the reactions of the audience from behind. And then you know if your film has worked, because even though you're not looking at their faces, you can tell from the body language whether you got it right or whether you got it wrong. And especially a film like yours, where there are so many twists and turns in it, you can really judge it from sitting at the back of the theater, I think.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, I see all the mistake and all the things that could be better, but I really enjoy watching it again and again, and I think I watch it 300 times. But sometimes I'm laughing because, for example, when the main character Alain Finkielkraut start changing into a zombie with the stuff, and every time I'm laughing because I think it's incredible. But it's incredible not because of me; it's incredible because of the acting, because the guy that create something that I never ask him to do this. I just say, okay, you start changing into a monster, and he create all this crazy stuff, and it was just a pleasure to shoot and to see and to watch, and every time it's a big joy for me.
He did a fantastic job. He he owns the screen. He eats up every piece of dialogue that he has. He's great. And he's very ably supported by Juliette. She's another fantastic actress. Well, what's your approach? Have you worked with both Alain and Juliette before? No, first time.
No. In fact, when I first meet Jonathan, who played the role of Froggy, the guy that we can see at the end. I met him several years ago because, in fact, he was absolutely no actors at all. He was shooting the making of one of my movies. But the guy is so cool. He's so passionate. He know everything about movie, and he's good. And always knew that I would make a film with this guy. So when I start to write the script, I start to write the script for two persons, Alain and Jonathan. I knew Jonathan, but I never meet Alain because Alain is a big star in France. He used to work for Luc Besson, for Olivier Marchal. He made the Taken movies. In fact, he's doing all the stunt in the French movie, and he used to play the bad guys in a lot of the TV series. One of these series is Braco, and he played a very dangerous guy. And I saw him on this series, and I was so afraid to see this guy. He was so intense. I said, okay, this is the guy I want to work with. I contact his agent. I send the script. 1 hour later, he called me. He said, okay, I do your movie, man. Okay, wow, good. And after, there was the COVID and all this kind of stuff. But in fact, we just met like, I think 1 month before the shooting. We never met before. And he never let me go. He always told me, yeah, okay, I will do your movie. I say I will be there. I will be. So it was really cool. Juliette, it was something different because Juliette is also well known in France for some TV series. In general, it's absolutely not this kind of role because here this is the kind of Sigourney Weaver part, but she's playing I don't know, some kind of soap TV series in France, and she's really well known for that. And same thing, I contact her 2 weeks before the shooting because one other actress was supposed to play the part, but because of the COVID, the person was blocked in Los Angeles, and she was not able to be on time. So Juliette said, "Okay, I will do it." So in fact, it was a kind of magic, and it was super cool, and she was super nice, and everything went very well on the set. I'm really happy about that.
Fantastic. Sorry, Gary. Yeah, come on.
No, so I was just going to say an interesting point you bring up there, Jean Michel. You mentioned that being sort of like a Sigourney Weaver, like alien type role, and so something that I wanted to ask was, what was your inspiration for sort of the technical designs of this feature? Because when I look at it, I maybe see something like a futuristic world that's yet still very dystopian. So, are we
Yeah.
looking at things like the Alien franchise, maybe something like Battlestar Galactica, a Halo, something like that? You said sci-fi is a passion, so I'm sure you looked at many different things before deciding on what the final designs would be and the inspiration for that.
You got it. It's Alien. When I explain the part to Juliette, I exactly say that. I say, okay, you are Sigourney Weaver. You are in a world that is really almost destroyed. There is no more water on the earth. On this prison, there is the worst person on the universe, and Alain is the worst guy in the universe. It's I really want to have a kind of deep feeling that this is the kind of place you don't want to be in. It's really but the movie I like, it's Alien, it's Galactica, the first series when I was young. Wow, the first movie I saw, I was 9 years old, was the Black Hole from Disney. So you understand, because I'm kind of crazy, and and I used to work on the video game industry during 15 years for Ubisoft. So I was always in this kind of science fiction feeling, and no, that's it. I like it. Star Wars, of course, Star Trek, all this kind of movies. I love it.
When you're working with two very well-known actors in France, the same in Ireland, you normally, when you're lucky enough to get two actors of that caliber, you're working against time. So I was just wondering, because they have busy schedules as well, how many days did it take to shoot?
5. 5 days. 5 whole days. And let me think, 5 days with everybody, and I think 1 day just to shoot some small part with just 2 or 3 person, but 5 days of shooting. So it was quite
intense.
Intense, but I had the great chance to have the best assistant director of the world. His name is Yann Thomas. It's a good friend of mine, but it's also a great professional. He's working. He used to work for all the James Bond when they shoot it in France, in the south of France. He's currently working on some Apple TV series, or Apple and Netflix, all these kind of things. And he's the king of the organization. When you want to do this kind of movie, you need to have someone that is able to see what is coming, all the program, and to organize the thing. And you say, okay, today we do that, to cross-board all the stuff. And it was a real joy to work with such a professional.
And Jean Michel, it's the most unrecognized job. There's no Oscar.
Yeah, exactly.
For a first assistant director, it's not recognized, and it can be taken for granted as well. Your first AD is vital. There are so many skills that your first AD has got to have. He almost has to be an actor himself, because he has to switch his personalities. You're dealing with so many different people, and you're dealing with so many different temperaments. It's a real skill to work as a first AD.
And Edil also is dealing with all the different actors, and he can feel when someone is not good, or that someone will get annoyed, or it's really psychological. And I don't know if I say his name. His name is Yann Thomas, and thank you, Yann. And it's true. I say to him exactly what you just said, Dave. That it's a pity that there is no award for the first assistant, because of course we don't see their work on the screen, but if the work is on the screen, it's because they are here. And I'm sure that.
Exactly, they're the unsung hero, really, of the film.
Yeah.
You summed it up the other night, Dave, perfectly in an interview when you said the first AD has to be a people person, and if they're not, things can go off the rails very, very quickly.
Exactly.
They can also keep, when you're working to budget as well, money's very tight when you're on a mini budget for a short film as well. And if you have any sort of disruption on set, that's money. So if you end up going into an extra day, if Jean Michel had to go into 6 days, that is going to cost much more money. So the first AD is very honed in, knows exactly. He knows exactly if this goes over, or if we've got to do pickups after this, it's going to cost even more money. So you got to be a really, really talented person to and be very patient, but be very firm to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you mentioned that you shot it for 5 days, which is incredible, a 5-day shoot. Post-production, so that was shot just before COVID, am I right?
No, during the COVID.
During COVID.
Yes, because it's not funny if it's not during the COVID. Not during the COVID. We were all the mask, and there was some crazy stuff as well, because, for example, during one shot, of course, Alain forgot to remove the shot, so everybody laughed at it. It was cool. But no. We have this guy that verify everybody every day, doing the test and all this kind of stuff. But no, it was okay. We were lucky about this. Nobody get the COVID during the shooting. And, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Great. Now, post-production. That's not going to take 5 days, Jean Michel. How long were you working in post?
Okay. So pre-production for the 3D printing, it was like almost 2 years, 6 days, 5 days of shooting, and 1.5 years of post-production. All alone again.
So the question I'm going to ask you is this, because I've spoken to literally hundreds of filmmakers that have shot films before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. And what I've noticed is that the films that where people are working in during COVID in post-production, they took their time. They weren't racing to try and get a film into a film festival, because there were no film festivals to go to apart from online film festivals. So what I noticed, certainly in Ireland and the UK, and I've seen it in the States as well, that people started to, during COVID, during the post-production phase, they started to take their time. So the production values had gone through the roof. So instead of racing, to try and get a film ready for a festival, they worked on their sound, they worked on the edit, they worked on the grade, they fine-tuned it, they looked at the continuity, they got it right. So all of the films that I've been seeing coming in, say, from 2021, 22, certainly 2022 and 23, from filmmakers that I would be used to over, say, the past 10 or 15 years, they've upped the game completely. And I suppose what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put a positive spin on something that happened to us, a very negative situation we were all in. The films are just getting better. The script writing, the writing in particular, and I'm dying to see some more fantastic screenplays. But I think the independent film scene, although it's very difficult for us as artists to be locked up, it's not a natural thing, to be kept away from each other. But I think during that time frame, an awful lot of writers became, or a lot of artists became extremely creative, and we're seeing the fruits of that now. Would you agree? Or
yes, I totally agree, but it was not the case for me, because during the COVID, I continued to create the 3D set when it starts. And during the lockdown in France, we were locked down like 50 days.
Yeah.
And I write something totally different. In fact, I wrote the script of a science fiction feature with no relation with Dark Cell, because I needed to think to something else, and I wrote a second script, which is a comedy, because in France, when you want to do to be a director, somehow you have to start with a comedy, because the comedy is the number one seller in France. I don't know why, because perhaps because we are really funny guys, but this is it. So no, I didn't focus too much on my own movie, because I knew that anyway the printer were printing and everything was on track, and my goal was not to rush on this movie. My goal was not to finish absolutely 1 year in particular, to go to the festival. My goal was to finish the movie when I was quite happy about this, and no, the COVID was not a big deal for me.
I feel this short film, there's a feature in it. You think so?
There was a feature?
Do you think that this could be a feature?
Oh yeah, of course. I already start to write it too. Yeah.
Right.
I have 40 pages of Dark Cell, the movie.
Fantastic.
Of course, but I think it could be a feature, or it could be a TV series, because my goal is to create, because this is an international prison, and my goal is to create a different story for different part of this prison with different nationalities. So you have the Spanish part, you have the French part, you have the UK part, you have the Irish part, and you could have some different story, which I think could be interesting, because you can see the different feeling of the people and the way they manage this kind of situation. I think it could be cool. So perhaps a TV series. I'm talking with people here in France about this, but I hope I will be able to come to see you in some months with a TV series or a feature movie.
Fantastic. That's
I hope. I
We
try.
would love that.
Yeah, me too.
Gary, you love a good score. You like, it adds to the film. I think you'll agree that this score on this one is great.
It absolutely does, and it plays in so well with the theming. And I would maybe go so far as to say, Dave, I don't know whether you would fully agree or not, but in terms of the darker tonalities of the submissions we've had, this is pretty much at the top by by a good stretch. But one comment that I did make while I was the sound was fantastic, and in particular in the opening part of the film where we see Froggy being approached, and you actually hear the sound and the reverb of the footsteps on the floor, and you could actually hear the sounds and the smacking of the lips when they were eating, and it was just crystal clear. So what sort of sound team did you have, and how did you pull off something in that way?
But in fact, there are people on set. The sound engineer is Florent Bonnet, which is a really good guy, really a professional, and I used to work a lot with him. So the first step is to have the good sound during the shooting, of course, which was quite complicated, because the cell was really narrow, really small. It was like 4 meters by 3 meters. So you have the boom guy and you have the engineer. Myself, I was not inside, because sometimes there was not enough space for this. But so Florent take the sound, and after you have this great team at Chute Film. So the name is Chute with 3 U, and they take the responsibility for all the sound. There was no Foley artist. They create everything from existing sound, because we didn't have the budget to hire some Foley artist, which is something I really want to do in my next project. But it was Vincent Monrobert and Nathan Monrobert, and of course the composer, Siegfried Canto, and they make something like I think because for them, this is not the kind of project you are used to work in France. In fact, never. The last one was Luc Besson with Valérian, I think, and it was something like 10 years ago. But this is the dream for this is what they told me. For them, this is a dream because you have a lot of stuff super interesting to do. Like you say, you have this metallic sound, you have this laser, you have spaceship, you have the feeling. It's like if you're working on Star Wars for them and for me. So for them, it was like a dream coming true. And so I think it's the reason why they spend a lot of time fine-tuning everything. And no, it was a super cool way of working with them. We drink some champagne working. I mean, it was French way of working.
And was there much difficulty with having 3D printed a lot of the set? Did that play havoc with the acoustics at all, or did you have to do a lot of testing beforehand to ensure that you were able to have everything sound exactly as it needed?
For the 3D printing, you mean?
Well, yeah, from when you 3D printed everything, did that play around with the acoustics and sound at all? Did it affect you in any way, depending on what type of material you were printing with? It didn't at all.
Oh no, because it's just some kind of plastic, and for the sound, it changed nothing. In fact, I think it's quite good for the sound because it's quite matte sound, and there is no reverberation. It was quite neutral, I think. For the sound, no problem at all. And all the top was completely open, so no, there was no specific problem.
It was shot on a soundstage, Jean Michel, was it?
Yes, on a small soundstage. It's in Ivry-sur-Seine, near Paris, and this is a 200 square meter green screen. It's quite small, but for my movie it was perfect because I don't need to have a big space, because I just need to have the cell in the middle and to have one ladder at what moment, and the part at the end I will not tell which one, because this is a secret. You have to watch the movie. But no, it was quite small, but no, it was okay. We were something like 40, 50 people doing the shooting. No, it was cool.
Fantastic. Gary and I are with the 501st Ireland Garrison, so we're pretty into costumes, not just Star Wars costumes. We're into sci-fi costumes as well. And I think, Gary, we have to take our hat off to the costume designer in the film as well. Fantastic job. Costumes were great, very natural.
It just added to the overall look. But I mean, that whole cell environment, I mean, everything from the food dispensers to the scene at the very, very beginning, which will probably creep a lot of people out. We're not going to say what it is, but just setting that tonality and having that in there, it just added to it. But I suppose a character's costume should accent their personality. And when we think of what be Froggy's nemesis, shall we say, the alpha male of the alpha male of the cell, seeming not to have a care in the world, always being devious and conniving, and the lead actor making your skin crawl, playing that type of character. I think the costume choices just accentuated it perfectly.
Yeah. It was made by a costume designer working a lot in France. Her name is Chouchan Abello, and she's fantastic. She immediately understand the design. I made some sketch with her. I create some part with a 3D printer. For example, you have the stuff on the shoulder, which is made by the 3D printer. You have all the stuff, the holster. For the gun, everything is made by 3D printer. It adds a lot to the science fiction feeling, because you always need to have some stuff like in a metal. But no, she made a terrific job. It was wonderful.
Fantastic. So You're talking about a feature next, Jean Michel. So that's you're currently working on that at the moment, yeah?
Yes, I am. I'm writing this feature. On the script, we are talking, of course, about the main characters, but before we meet them, something like 1 year before what happens on the short movie, and it's kind of the same spirit, and but with a lot more characters, of course. I hope I will be able to propose this to a production company interested by doing some serious science fiction, I will say, and that's it. Yeah. I hope I will be able to finish it for Cannes Festival, but I'm not sure about this.
Well, listen, we wish you the very best of luck with your project moving forward. And listen, it's been a great pleasure to chat to you tonight. As I said, Gary and I really enjoyed the film. Like I think you can guess that from the two of us. Your film is going to screen on this Saturday morning at the festival at 11 o'clock. So I'm hoping we'll have a big audience for that. We'll send you some feedback, Jean Michel. We'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll be screening more of your work in the near future.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry I'm not able to be there with you, but with my job, my work, it was like crazy because I'm doing some special effects for TV channel in France, and unfortunately I will not be able to leave, but I will be with you by
You'll be with us in spirit.
By the science fiction spirit.
Okay, Jean Michel, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. All the best.
It means a lot to me what you say about my movie, because we are doing movie for people, and thank you. It's really cool.
Thank you
for me and for the whole team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michel.
Thank you.